Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes. I am your host, Mike Catron, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Oh, not much, Mike. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. There's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA right now. Another big trade that we get to talk about, plus the All-Star break is literally tomorrow. Like every single team in the NBA is playing tonight, so that's always exciting, especially when you have no idea who to start on your roster. It's a fun guessing game for everybody playing fantasy out there. Things are going pretty good. How are things with you?
Oh, it's just a great time to be following basketball, isn't it? I mean, with the All-Star game and then all the trade rumors and just can't complain.
Yeah, I think this is when NBA starts ramping up because, NFL's over. You got the All-Star game. You get the playoff push. March Madness starts. That's over. And then the NBA playoffs start. And then before you know it, it's summer. It's the middle of summer and the draft and the NBA draft's happening. It's nonstop basketball from here until the draft. And this is the best time. It's the best time for the NBA and just basketball in general.
That's right, people. Mike won't get a nap until like what, May now? Maybe
Keep
June.
going. June-ish. Don't worry, I'll take plenty of vacation to make up for it.
Fair enough.
So let's get right into the big trade. Toronto sending Terrence Ross to Orlando. The Serge Ibaka era is over before it started. Serge Ibaka going to Toronto. Pretty good trade for Toronto. Really getting when you think about it, Orlando traded Oladipo for Terrence Ross and a first round pick. So pretty crap deal for the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, no, I mean, I said ever since they made that trade that Victor Oladipo was their best player, whether they want to admit it or not. And to trade your best player for someone else's third best player never really seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that trade. I thought maybe Oladipo would fit better on OK City with Durant coming back. I understand why OK City did it. Well, because they're kind of getting a better player, and then Durant
Well,
moves to the
and
four, right? That would make sense.
they were getting a better, younger player. I mean, with a shot to be a lot better, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo is, I mean, like 4 years younger than Serge Ibaka.
Well, down the stretch, Oladipo for the Magic, his final year as a Magic. That doesn't roll off the tongue very well. As a Magic, how can you be a Magic? But his final year there, those last 2 months, he was one of the like top five, top 8 players in fantasy for like the last 2 months. He was out of his mind, and everybody was like, finally, the rotation stopped being a cluster, and they played him
Scott
30.
Skiles stopped at Scott Skiles.
Man, I don't know if Scott Skiles gets another coaching job in the NBA. Anything is possible. It's the end of times.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
The story of Scott Skiles. It was the worst of times. It was also the
Mhm.
worst of times.
But
Um,
back to this trade. Okay. This trade actually is kind of juicy for fantasy, I think.
I completely agree. I'm interested to hear your take on it.
Um, I don't think Serge Ibaka is even the juiciest thing.
Oh, really?
Um,
Where would you start? Where would you say what's the best looking thing out there?
what I mean, let's first have this conversation, okay?
All right.
So the Raptors traded for Serge Ibaka. Can we both agree that their power forward situation was less than exciting?
You don't get super excited by Pascal Siakam. Wow, that guy been starting. What's okay? Just a quick hypothetical. Pascal started every game from the beginning of the season until January 3rd, and then he started about 4 other games other than that. He's been kind of often in and out of the lineup. Will he ever start this many games in a season ever again?
No,
I would agree.
not even close.
No. Yeah, I highly doubt it. And Toronto really didn't have to give up anything for Serge Ibaka. And Serge Ibaka fits perfectly into the giant gaping hole on their starting lineup. So I don't know how this hurts really anyone. Do you see it helping the rest of the Toronto Raptors, or do you see it hurting certain people?
Well, I mean, I think the person that gets hurt the most by this trade is Serge Ibaka, just in the sense that I don't think he's going to get near the shot attempts that he was getting with the Magic. I mean, he was probably the first or second option on the Magic. You got DeMar DeRozan, you got Kyle Lowry, you got Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, what is he now, like the fourth, fifth option? I mean, I just don't see any way his stats don't decline a little bit.
I would agree to an extent, though it could be a little bit of a turn of fortune that now, since he is not the main focal point on teams' defenses, he's a little bit more open. He's hitting a little bit more threes, and his percentages go up a little bit. Other than that, I don't see him improving at all from this move, because he just won't get the usage, won't get the touches. I would actually liken it a little bit to what he did last year in Oklahoma City, where he was the 60th ranked player, because his blocks kind of fell off. And in that year, I think he's a better 3-point shooter now, but in that year, he was only about 13-7, which is not terribly far off from his 15-7 that he is this year with 1.5 threes. So I don't see him declining enough to drop him in any leagues, but currently ranked 35th overall per game in 9 cats, probably a ceiling.
I'm with you there, and I'll push back on the more 3-pointers thing, just in the sense that he's hitting 38.8% for the season on 3.8 attempts, which are both career highs. So I don't know that he's getting any better with Toronto.
Well, it depends on how they use him. He might be a little pick and pop type of guy, which would help Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan coming off better picks, because Serge Ibaka is a good pick setter, and defenses are kind of forced to choose their poison. So that's the only, I think, caveat is, like, maybe defenses are so focused on Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan that they're not going to be guarding Serge Ibaka at all, and Serge Ibaka is just going to hit mid-range jumpers over and over and over again, which is not a great shot statistically, but if he's wide open, he's able to make those shots. So I don't know. I'm not as pessimistic as you are on his degradation of his fantasy point, his actual fantasy across the board, but I don't see him at the best. If he was utilized correctly in the Toronto system, he's going to stay where he currently is. He's not going to get better.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see any way that he gets better. I mean, you mentioned the number. What's the number so far this year? The 35th?
He's currently 35th on averages.
I see him more as like a top 60 to 70 player going forward.
I would maybe peg him around the 50 mark. I'm just a little bit more optimistic. But I kind of agree with you that he might actually hurt Jonas Valanciunas's. He's kind of on his corner, you know. Jonas might. I assume Jonas and Serge are going to play together. This could mean less rebounds for Jonas Valanciunas. It could mean less touches for Jonas. I don't see it hurting DeMar or Kyle Lowry at all, but for Jonas, for sure.
And it's worth mentioning that Dwayne Casey always seems to be not the biggest Jonas Valanciunas fan.
You don't say.
And so I could honestly see them, especially against certain teams, just benching Jonas Valanciunas going down the stretch and letting Serge Ibaka kind of be the number 5.
That to me is kind of an interesting move, because that could mean perhaps Serge Ibaka will be actually improving his rebounds and blocks if he's going to be playing 5, and not substantially, but maybe by a quarter of a block or a half a rebound by playing the fourth quarter at the center position. I am kind of interested in what Serge is doing. I wouldn't try to move him right now, but I wouldn't try to go get him either. I'd stay put and just see what happens. I don't think you're going to be terribly disappointed.
I'm with you there. And Jonas Valanciunas, I'm kind of the same way. I'm probably not trying to make a move for him, but I'm probably not trying to trade him away. I'm trying to just see how this whole team kind of meshes together.
Yeah, I agree, and I think if someone like Patrick Patterson is someone who is in your is relevant in your league, if you're in a very large league, and Patrick Patterson is relevant, that guy is not relevant any longer.
Oh man, come on, don't hate on Pat.
Listen, Pat, get your life together, all right? I actually
The
like
guy
he's a
who's
pretty
been
good.
I'll agree with you. And the guy who's been super disappointing this year has been Jared Sullinger. I mean, he went there and everyone's like, oh, he's going to be the starter at power forward. And I think he's played about as many minutes on the NBA court this season as I have.
He's completely disappeared, which is somewhat astonishing considering how much he played in where did he come from? Boston?
Yes, sir.
I always forget if Boston moved him somewhere and then he went to Toronto, but I think that was just hearsay. But yeah, when he came from Boston, he was playing 27 minutes for 2 consecutive seasons and 23 minutes per game. And the season before this, he is averaging 10 minutes per game, and he's only played 11 games. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and recently here, I'm pretty sure he's been a DNP-CD for a couple games.
Yeah.
So
now he did come off of a surgery, so it's not like he's, he was sitting out the entire first season because he's terrible. But it does not look like he is going to be a part of their, maybe not even their rotation.
yeah, with Nogueira there, I mean, he doesn't even look like he's part of the nightly rotation now with Serge Ibaka. He looks like he is not going to play by the coach's decision pretty much every night.
Ugh. So that actually, Jared Sullinger might be a sneaky good trade for some team in the NBA. Just be like, hey man, we'll take Jared Sullinger off your hands. Don't worry about it, and then they can give him some good minutes.
Well, and I mean, this guy's young. He's 24. He showed some promise there, like you were mentioning a couple years back. So I could see it happening.
He's 24. It feels like he's at least 30.
I feel like I feel that way about a lot of players.
I feel like I've been hearing his name for at least a decade.
Well, unless you're following 14-year-old basketball, you haven't.
Well, don't you worry about what I do in my spare time. So, the Orlando Magic, they did bring in Terrence Ross, which is not a great piece, but not a terrible piece. What do you see Terrence Ross doing to this roster and this rotation?
Scratch my head like always with the Magic, because the Magic are always a tough team to peg. I think what they're gonna do. Last year with Scott Skiles, it was bad. This year with Frank Vogel, it hasn't been much better. Terrence Ross is a good 3-point shooter. Terrence Ross is up to a steal a game now in 22.4 minutes, which is helpful for fantasy. He doesn't do a lot else. The almost half a block is nice. I honestly think Terrence Ross probably starts for this team, and him and Evan Fournier kind of play that 2-3 combo there. Whichever one you want to consider, whichever spot, that's up to you. And I think he could be kind of interesting here.
Yeah, I'm definitely a wait and see on Terrence Ross. He has had crazy flashes of amazing scoring ability, followed by just not being able to stay on the court. And I think that I don't know if he immediately jumps into the starting lineup, but I guarantee you at some point he's going to be starting the way Magic run their lineups. I think he kind of hurts CJ Watson's number or minutes, and Mario Hezonja once again is now buried deep within the roster. So sorry, Mario, you'll probably never play meaningful minutes. I'm not sure it hurts Fournier or Elfrid Payton at all. To me, the more interesting thing about this trade for Orlando is the space freed up now that Serge Ibaka is gone, which means either Bismack Biyombo is going to be getting a lot more minutes, or finally Aaron Gordon is going to be played at the 4.
So everything you said, I think that means not a good basketball player. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because I mean, for a young guy like that, he would be getting a shot if he could, right? At this point, like, secondly, I'm thinking Terrence Ross. If you play in like a 12-team league, I'm probably not picking him up. I'm probably waiting and seeing. If I play in like a 14 or 16-team league, I think I might just take a flyer on this guy, just to see if the Magic are willing to give him 30 minutes a night and what he could do. He's never really gotten that many minutes in his career. He's never really produced a ton of fantasy relevant stats, but in 30 minutes, he could be somewhat interesting for threes, for steals, and maybe he gets up there like 14, 15 points a game. And he's kind of an asset in those three categories.
Yeah, when you look at his what he's been averaging just in like 20, 23, 24 minutes, 2 threes is pretty good. So throw a 3 on there even, or throw at least a half a 3. The half a block is out of nowhere is kind of interesting. 1 steal, but when you look at the rest of it, his his steals aren't great. One's fine, right? One's good, but for a guard, 1 is mediocre. And then assist wise, he's getting about 1 assist a game. That's pretty bad. Somewhere around 3 rebounds is, average or below average for a guard forward. So unless he can kind of step his game up in different areas, he's going to be someone who might break into, maybe the 90 to 100 range at best. But I don't see him becoming some sort of all-star stellar player or great fantasy sleeper during the second half of the season.
I'm with you there, but in a 14, 16, or larger league, I mean, that's a big asset to pick up off the waiver wire.
Oh, yeah, definitely. In the big leagues, I think this is a must pick up. Anything bigger than a 14 or above. But still, I think he could have standard league relevance if he is playing 30 minutes a game.
I'm with you, but I don't think it's worth holding through the All-Star break here. I mean, like, I'm waiting for a better trade where I can pick up someone who could potentially be the top 50 player going down the stretch.
Yeah,
whereas, like you mentioned, this guy's. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, in fact, I'd rather take my chance of, if you're desperate to just pick some up and hold them based on what might happen in the future. I'd rather take my chances with Bismack Biyombo or Aaron Gordon on this team.
So let's get to Mr. Aaron Gordon. Okay.
Let's.
I don't think, and I think Frank Vogel is smart enough to know this. Against 90 to 95% of the teams in the league, Bismack Biyombo and Nick Vucevic playing together is just not going to work in the NBA today.
It's a horrible idea.
So, throwing that out the door, but leaving it to potentially still be a possibility, right? I mean, like, coaches have done dumber things. That opens up.
Scott Skiles.
That opens up a ton of minutes at the 4 for Aaron Gordon, right? I mean, they don't really have another power forward guy. Maybe Jeff Green?
Yeah, but why are you bothering with Jeff Green,
Exactly. So the question is, what is Aaron Gordon as a power forward?
So it's not like over the course of the beginning of the season when he started at the small forward, he was not playing the occasional power forward. Like, occasionally he was playing the 4, mostly playing the 3, and trying to turn him into Paul George, which is just not going to happen. He's more of a Blake Griffin type for sure than a Paul George. As a Blake Griffin type, though, Aaron Gordon does intrigue me, and he is able to kind of do a little bit of everything. But as you've seen throughout this season so far, he's averaging, let me make sure I'm right, to about 28 minutes a game. And in that 28 minutes a game, which is not terribly far off from starters minutes, he's not really doing anything incredible.
I'll agree with you. Now, look at the 24 minutes a game and the numbers last year. that's looking a little better if we can up it to 32 minutes, right?
If he can go back to what he was doing last year in that role, that is a much better looking stat line. But even that is, is 32 minutes a game moving back to the 4. Is that standard league relevant?
Well, I mean, with the steal and the block and the 12, 13 points, it's pushing it. The free throw percentage is not good. I think he's going to shoot more 3-pointers this year. I think he's kind of bear that out so far, which means he's probably close to 1-3 a game. So then he becomes a 1-1 guy, and I mean that's interesting.
So they do have one game under their belt. Granted, Terrence Ross did not play with them, so we do not know what their next starting lineup is going to be. But the starting lineup that they had against the Spurs, where they got chili whacked hard, 107-79, had Vujicic at center. They also started Jeff Green for some reason, CJ Watson for some reason, Evan Fournier, and Aaron Gordon. Now, I didn't catch a ton of this game, but I do not know if Aaron Gordon was playing the 4, but it certainly seems like it looking at his box score.
Yeah, everywhere I can see he was listed as the starting power forward, which doesn't mean anything because obviously that sometimes that stuff gets a little bit misreported. But I think that's the plan. I think they realize he's not Paul George, he's not a small forward, and they're going to try to play him as a power forward now.
Would you, let's say you're in a standard league, doesn't matter roto or head-to-head, and you really don't know if his minutes are going to go up or not. We don't know if Aaron Gordon's minutes are going to go up or not, but you do know he's going to play in his proper position, which should mean he's playing a little bit better, which should mean he's afforded at least a few more minutes a game. If you have a roster opening or you have someone at the bottom of your roster that you don't really care for, someone who's probably around, the 120th best player in the league, are you going to pick up Aaron Gordon right now?
So I think this is worth mentioning because I think some people think Aaron Gordon is a better fantasy player than he is. Do you know what Aaron Gordon is ranked so far this season?
I do not. It's not good, I don't think.
211th.
Whoosh. That's terrible.
In 27.6 minutes a game. Granted, as a miscast player. Okay, so the per minute numbers could get better in the sense that he's actually playing the right position. So is he a standard league guy? I mean, I don't really see him getting into the top 100 unless they can commit 32 or more minutes to him.
Even then, I think it might be questionable whether he breaks that top 100.
So, I mean, I wanted to say going into this that I was a little more keen on Aaron Gordon until I looked at exactly how bad the numbers have been this year. And especially in a roto league, I don't want that free throw percentage and what could potentially be a bad field goal percentage. I think he's going to shoot more threes now, and he's not a good 3-point shooter. He's 29% for his career. Oof. And so I think that's going to drag down the field goal percentage a fair amount. And so a guy with bad percentages who isn't going to blow you away in rebounds or assists, I'm kind of lukewarm on him. But I will admit that he has the upside to be a standard league player if you're going to pick up someone and try to hold them through the All-Star break and hope that they could turn into something big.
Yeah, I would agree that his that if you wanted to take a shot on someone on this team after this trade, it would be Aaron Gordon.
And he's got talented. I mean, yeah. I think you mentioned that. Like he does. If you watch him play, you can see the kind of Blake Griffin like jumps through the gym and does some things that like a man his size shouldn't be able to do.
Sometimes he looks quite incredible. And even a couple nights this year, he's looked somewhat unstoppable. He's got a 33-point game, a 30-point game this year. He's got some games where 17 and 8, not that long ago, but he's kind of fallen off here over the last half a month to month or so. And he's been very inconsistent throughout the year. So I don't know if I would go. I don't think I'm going to go pick him up in any of my standard leagues, but I'm ready to pick him up if I see him having. I'd even say one good game is worth a test, or is worth a flyer for Aaron Gordon, just because the potential is there.
And okay, so I think in 14 and 16 team leagues, he's probably owned. I mean, he was getting 28 minutes a night, and most guys who get 28 minutes a night are owned in those kind of leagues. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, definitely.
So I have the worst player on my 14 or 16 team roster, and I'm offering you him for Aaron Gordon. So you can have Aaron Gordon. I'm trying to get out of the Aaron Gordon market. Are you doing it?
So you're giving me your Aaron Gordon for my worst player on my 14 team league.
Yes. Make up any hypothetical player. And
I'm doing it.
And you could probably sell somebody on that. Like, look, Aaron Gordon's sucking. He's not helping you. He's giving you 11 points and a lot of garbage. He's shooting terrible percentage. And you might be able to get this guy on the super cheap and get something out of him.
I agree. I'd go ahead and give it a shot, especially if that person wants to get rid of Aaron Gordon in a bigger league. There's no reason not to take a shot on him. I think there's a reason scouts and other people who are in the NBA talk about him more often than they talk about a lot of other people, just because they can see the skill there. And, if he is developed correctly, he could turn into a pretty good player.
So here's the hope, and the 21-year-old Aaron Gordon gets it together in the second half and is just a total monster. And he forces us to keep talking about him.
I would love to see that. He was kind of one of my sleepers that I had to drop earlier this year. So I am rooting for Aaron Gordon.
As am I.
So that was the major trade. We've already had 2 trades this week. It's already starting to heat up. Basically, the trade deadline is heating up right now. We've got some speculative trades. And so instead of going full on speculation, because there's just really no reason to spend a ton of time going after hypothetical situations, we're going to go through some of the possible trades and kind of just say what we think, what's the percentage chance of this happening? And that way let's start out with Carmelo Anthony. What do you think? Carmelo Anthony's been rumored in a lot of trades. I know you have a personal opinion on this, especially you've written an article on #basketball.com about the LA Clippers. And I believe Melo was part of a potential trade, but they would have to give up. Well, New York probably wouldn't like what they got back.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I mentioned this last show maybe. I think that Melo only would accept the trade to 2 teams. The Clippers and the Cavs. What are either one of those teams going to offer the Knicks that makes them say, yes, we'd love to have that and that for Carmelo? The salaries that work for the Clippers, I can tell you this because I did write that article. It's Jamal Crawford and Austin Rivers. They have to make those 2 players or Blake Griffin to make the salaries work in the trade. Okay?
Yeah.
Neither one of those 2 is really enticing New York. So you can say, oh, well, Clippers could give up some picks. The Clippers cannot trade their first-round pick until 2021. They cannot do it by that new rule in the CBA where you can only trade your first-round pick every other year. Okay? So they can't even offer his first-round pick till 2021, and they only have a few second-round picks. And the only real young talent they have on the team is Bryce Johnson, who they picked in the first round this year, and Diamond Stone, who they picked in the second round.
You don't want Diamond Stone?
So my point in saying all that is I don't really see that trade happening, and I don't see Cleveland having the assets to give up either to get Carmelo. So percent chance Carmelo gets traded, 2%.
Oof, wow. I'd at least go 10%. You never know. Something weird can happen, but it's very low for sure.
I'm with you. I mean, I think that he may be the lowest one on my list.
So another rumor mill guy is one of my favorite players, Jimmy Butler. A lot of rumors going around about him getting traded. The Bulls are, I wouldn't even call them, they're not even in free fall. They're just a dumpster fire. You look down an alley and it's just on fire. The whole alley's on fire. That's what's going on.
Jesus.
It's not great in Chicago right now. So Jimmy Butler is rumored to be traded. What's your percentage chance on him getting traded?
35.5%.
Wow, it's very specific.
Their management is not the best in Chicago. I think that's being nice. I could see them just deciding this isn't working. Dwayne Wade is leaving. Rajon Rondo is not a thing anymore. And so what does that really leave the Bulls with? Jimmy Butler and maybe a few rotation players?
Well, Cristiano Felicio is probably their second best player after that, since Taj will probably be leaving as well.
And so, I mean, I could honestly see them making a trade for some young assets and some picks and just kind of starting over. I don't think it's super likely this season, but I think this offseason it's probably even more likely that he gets moved.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go lower. I'm going to say about 22% chance, because the front office is not known for making big moves like that. And they never have for a very, very long time. And I just don't see it happening now. But what would you say the percentage chance that someone on the Bulls gets traded?
Someone on the Bulls gets traded. 70%.
Okay. I would go higher. I'd go 80.
Because they got to make a move. They got to do something, right?
Something's got to happen here. They're shopping every single person on the team. You can't. You're not going to get anything. Like Nico's probably not going to re-sign with you. Taj is probably also. Taj deserves to be on a better team. Is what Taj deserves. But you just got a lot of random dead weight on this team that just doesn't make any sense. Obviously, we would love to get rid of Rondo, love to get rid of Wade. I think someone, at least one of those players, is out the door, about an 80% chance by the trade deadline, which could open up some playing time for whoever's left.
I'm with you there. My pertinent Bulls question to this discussion is, are they going to hold on and make the playoffs?
Well, it is the East, and anything can happen in the East. And they've been pretty injured lately. Haven't seen a lot of good nights with full rosters lately. I think they will. I think they'll sneak into that 8th seed. You never know. They might even get the 7th seed. But the rest of the East is actually playing a little bit better than they have. So we'll see. It's going to be, I think, a pretty tough road to the 8th seed of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, but I think the Bulls can do it.
It's just crazy to think that this team has been as bad as they've been, and they're still the 7th seed in the East right now, and looking like they have a good shot to hold it.
It's more shocking that they are poised to have a very similar season to last year, when they had a team that was considered one of the better teams in the East.
That is strange. That is crazy.
They gutted the team, and they're still in the same no man's land. It's terrible. But they got Miami and Milwaukee sneaking up on them, so I would you never know. And I like that Milwaukee team a lot. I think they'll sneak into the playoffs, even with it hurt Jabari. I'd like to see Milwaukee at 8, the Bulls at 7. That's what I'd like to see.
I could see it.
What are another team that's got to make a move, right? 76ers. Someone's moving on that team. What's the chances of somebody moving on that team? And if so, who do you think is going to most likely to be moved?
97.5%.
That's pretty high.
Jahlil Okafor probably getting moved, I would think.
To the Bulls for something terrible, and I'll be very mad about it.
I think this team is finally kind of turning a corner here, in the sense that they're trusting the process has worked. They now have two what are may turn into superstar players in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. They've mined some diamonds in the rough with like Robert Covington. Quietly, Nick Stauskas has been kind of a good like sixth, seventh, eighth man. They have a lot of young talent. I think they've got to kind of mix up the front court here, figure out who's going to be with them, who's going to be out, and this team could be really exciting going into next year with yet another really high draft pick on board.
Yeah, and you hope that Okafor does free up some minutes to allow someone on this team to play over 30 minutes. That would be great to see someone like Nerlens Noel or even Sarge to play something close to starters minutes. That way they are fantasy relevant.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, for fantasy, they haven't been a great team. Sarge has quietly, kind of the last week to 2 weeks, been really, really good. So that's something to watch going forward. That he could really be kind of a sneaky good power forward going down the stretch.
Yeah, he's definitely been very interesting. I would probably take a flyer on him if I had the open space on anything 12 and a 12 team league and above. And even if you're in a 10 team league, and you're in a row, especially if you're a roto league, why not take a flyer on him? He's been playing over the last 3 months in the top per game, even in limited minutes, is top 70. And now a lot of that value comes from no turnovers, really good field goal percentage, but he's averaging really good steals. And the more minutes he gets, the better he looks. So we'll see how that goes.
A sneaky good player, sneaky good passer, sneaky good rebounder, just a real sneaky kind of under the radar asset, I think, in fantasy.
Yeah, I like him. Oh, sorry, I think I said his field goal percentage was good. His field goal percentage is not that good. His free throw percentage is pretty good, though.
Yes, you are correct about that.
Actually, his field goal percentage it's not great. It's around 40%.
It's not the great.
It's not the great.
It's not.
It's not the great.
Not the great.
It's not the great.
It's the opposite of the great.
It's definitely not good. I think, 76ers, something's happening there. 90% for sure. What about another Denver Nugget?
Another Denver Nugget. 82.5%.
Ooh, I think that's a bit high. And we kind of went in depth with the Denver Nuggets on the last show. So if you want to hear more about what we think about what's going on in the Denver Nuggets and who's looking good for the second half of the season, I would go check that out. Especially if there is a trade within the next 24 hours or sometime before the trade deadline. That Nuggets show, it'll probably give you a little insight on who is going to have more value depending on who gets moved. I'm a little more pessimistic. They've already made a move. It would be interesting if they made another move, and I think they can. But I'm going to say it's about a 50% chance, but a half and half chance that they might or might not make a move.
I'm just thinking it's that high because if they don't trade Danilo Gallinari, they're probably getting nothing back for him. So I think if someone, and there's a couple of teams out there that are kind of small forward needy, if someone's willing to pay basically anything worthwhile, they're probably going to make that move.
That's very true. Any other people or teams you think that's over 50% chance that they're going to make a move over the before the trade deadline?
Oh, wow. Over 50% chance. Probably not.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, usually these trade deadlines end up being a little bit less interesting. This could be a weird year for sure, but there's always a lot of rumors and a lot of speculation right up to the last second, and often not a lot happens.
And often the best player that gets traded is not even fantasy relevant.
Yes, and that's always depressing.
So there'll be some moves. There'll be some small moves.
We've already had 2 fantasy relevant trades so far, so this could be a different year.
That's what I mean. There could be some big moves. There will definitely be a few small moves. A few I'm going to trade you this guy who's hurt to get him off my roster to pick up some guy from the D League and some stuff like that. There could be some more big moves, guys like Gallinari. Someone on the Sixers is probably going to move, like we mentioned. So stay tuned. It should be fun.
That's right. So really, it's going to be a nice lull. Everybody enjoy your All-Star break. And if anything big happens, any huge trades or fantasy relevant trades, maybe it doesn't even have to be a huge trade, we will be hitting you up with a trade deadline show next week. But right now, we're going to do something a little different, and it's for all the degenerates and the people who love to gamble and or play fantasy basketball more than they actually need to. And we are going to go right to the All-Star break, the skills competition, the dunk competition, the three-point competition. We're going to go to what you'll probably be doing this Saturday night. Why not make it a little bit more interesting and do a fantasy draft on the players involved on the Saturday night and the Sunday night game? Tyler, are you interested in joining me in this tradition, unlike any other?
Oh, and I think I've got you beat. I've been doing my studying. I've been crunching the numbers, and I think I got you beat in this draft.
I do not know. Things can get a little iffy, especially with the skills competition. You never know. Last year, Karl-Anthony Towns. By the way, where's Karl-Anthony Towns this year? Why isn't he defending his championship?
His skills have diminished, apparently.
That's soft, man. That is shit. He needs to be defending. I'll be honest. I was looking through the names for Saturday night, and I am not impressed with these lineups. I am not impressed with what's going on here. There's no Curry in the three-point contest. There's no Towns defending his championship. The dunk contest has 4 dudes, 2 of which I don't know if they should be allowed to be around All-Star Weekend.
Is one of the guys, like, has he played a minute on the court? Like, that's an honest question.
Ooh, Derrick Jones Jr.?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not a real player.
This is a guy. It's a ringer. So Miami wanted to be relevant, and I think they signed a 10-day for him, but they knew he was like a street dunker. You know, he's like winning all the street ball dunk awards, and they're like, oh, we got to pull that guy in and then sign him up for the dunk contest. I think he's a ringer.
That's one of my least favorite things about the dunk contest. Like, if you're not relevant to the All-Star game or even that rookie sophomore game, you should not be allowed to do any of the All-Star weekend stuff. That includes the dunk contest.
I completely agree. If you are not great or invited to All-Star Week in the first place, unless you're a really good three-point shooter and you're not a great all-around basketball player and you're not in the All-Star game, but you're a great three-point shooter, okay, like Eric Gordon's in the three-point contest, fine. He's hitting a lot of threes this year. He kind of deserves a little bit of a showcase. But come on, the dunk contest used to be the most important thing of the evening. It's the last thing of the evening. And I'm just going to call weak shit on everybody who's not in the dunk contest this year. Once again, LeBron is too soft to be in the dunk contest. You don't see Anthony Davis in this dunk contest. There's no Wiggins.
There's only one All-Star in it.
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan, who arguably shouldn't even be an All-Star.
I completely agree with that. Aaron Gordon, amazing dunker. He should have won last year. To me, this is him defending his championship this year. And we're going to get right into the draft. So the rules of Saturday night are first place in each event gets 3 points. Second place gets 2 points. And third place gets 0 points because you suck because you're in third place. So this is kind of a hard one to win. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you the first pick. I'm going to be generous and give you the first pick. I shouldn't have done it, but I'm going to give you the first pick.
All right, so here's my only question. Do we have to pick one? Like, are we picking just one event first, or is it just all 3 combined?
All 3 events combined.
Oh,
you can pick anybody in the entire night. You just got to score, get the most points by the end of the night.
All right, I will select with the very first pick in the Saturday Night All-Star Challenge, Klay Thompson from the Warriors.
Wow. That is a ballsy move, I think. That is not who I would have taken with my first pick. But I think it is definitely not the worst pick in the world, Klay Thompson defending his championship.
He was close to winning 2 years ago.
There's no Steph Curry.
He won last year.
Yeah.
And he's probably the best 3-point shooter in the contest.
I think you're going to find a hard argument that you've probably at least got 2 points, if not 3 points, with that pick. But the second pick, I'm going to go with Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's going to win the dunk contest, period. No one else is going to win that dunk contest. No one's interested in DeAndre Jordan dunking. He's too big. No one cares. It's not that interesting. The other two guys, nobody ever heard of them. Maybe one of them's got a really cool dunk. But after what Aaron Gordon did last year, he got robbed. He's definitely winning.
Hard to argue with that. Okay, so are you ready for my second pick? Because I think this one could be a surprise.
All right, hit it.
I am going to pick DeMarcus Cousins.
Ooh, I actually really like that pick.
So he is going to win the Taco Bell Skills Challenge.
That's I think that's a pretty good pick. I like that pick a lot. There is a little bit of strategy in this because with only 4 dunkers, there is a chance, two of them are going to score. While with the skills and the 3-point competitions, just throwing that out there. I'm not going to just pick all 4 dunkers and get 5 points because that would be just not really in the the tradition or the really not very gentlemanly of me to do. So I'm actually going to also go with the skills competition guy, but I'm going to go with John Wall. I think John Wall's hot right now, and John Wall wants to make a mark on the All-Star weekend, and I think he's going to have a really good skills competition.
I can see it. All right, so you alluded to this earlier, but I think this actually happened. Okay, to win the dunk contest, then upset Aaron Gordon, the guy with the best chance is the guy no one's ever heard of. It's Derrick Jones Jr., man.
Wow. The ringer from Miami, Derrick Jones Jr., not a popular pick, but perhaps you're right. I guess if anyone's going to upset Aaron Gordon, it's going to be some guy no one even knows exists.
So I'm hoping he can just snag me the second. I'm hoping he can snag me the second place points, and I can win the other 2 competitions, and then I'm feeling pretty strong about this.
That is not that bad of a choice. Do we even know if Glenn Robinson III can dunk? Are we aware?
I don't think I've ever seen it happen, so that's why I stayed away from that. And DeAndre Jordan's just too big. What dunks can he possibly do?
Yeah, like he's not exciting at all.
That's what I mean. Like all his dunks are just he jumps up and like sets the ball in the basket because he's 8 foot tall.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a little bit of cash here, and I'm going to go with Glenn Robinson III just so we can get through the dunkers. So someone's going to win this dunk contest, and I don't want to be left out. Even though I'm going to win for sure, I want to get second place too there.
I can see it. I don't want DeAndre Jordan. So if you want to take him, then the next pick, you can have him. I'm going to try to win these skills competitions, okay? And with the guy I like next in the skills competition is actually replacing Joel Embiid because he's injured. And it's Nikola Jokic. This dude can pass. This dude can shoot. This dude maybe should have been an all-star. He's been playing awesome ever since he moved into the starting lineup. And I think he might just sneak in there in the skills competition.
I like that pick a lot. It's pretty. I think it's a pretty good pick. He's got something to prove. He was left off, and now this is his chance to kind of hit the spotlight over the All-Star weekend. I think you've made a rookie mistake, sir, and I am going to take DeAndre Jordan. I have got a pretty good chance of getting 5 points out of that dunk contest.
You got a shot, but I'm telling you, Jones is going to win it, and it's going to be all good for me.
Yeah, it might be. At least I got 2 points guaranteed there.
All right, so with my next pick, I'm going back to the 3-point competition, and I'm going for C.J. McCollum from the Blazers.
Excellent pick. CJ is great. CJ can get really hot. I like that a lot. I need a 3-point contest guy now, and I think I'm going to have to go with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie
I like it.
He's shown some pretty good competition in that event, and with no Steph Curry, he could be basically the second favorite.
I like it a lot. All right, I'm going back to the skills competition again. if you can't tell, I think the big men are going to win this skills competition. So I'm going with Anthony Davis from Pelicans.
Another good pick. He's got basically all the skills you need. You are trying to corner the market on big men there. So I'm going to go back to the 3-point competition. I'm going to go with someone I also think is kind of a sneaky favorite, and Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon's just been lights out this year, and this is the only time Eric Gordon is going to be nationally relevant until the playoffs. So why not give him a chance?
I'm not going to lie. That was going to be my next pick. I'm not going to lie about that. So with my next pick, I'm going for Isaiah Thomas in the skills competition.
Oh, I forgot about Isaiah Thomas.
Got to get a small there. Little man could win that competition, so I like that pick a lot.
That's a great pick. I completely forgot about that. That is a rookie mistake on my part. And I should know better. Not a lot of skills competition guys left. You are taking them all. You're kind of cornering the market. So I'm not sure if my next move is to just bulk up on 3-pointers or go after a few skills competition. It's not that fun to not have some skin in the game in every competition. So I'm going to go with Devin Booker.
Oh, man, that was my next pick.
He's kind of struggled this year when it comes. He didn't break out fantasy-wise, but he's still got a lot of skills, and he's a great shooter when he wants to be.
Why is he not in the 3-point competition? I feel like he's better served in that competition.
I don't know. He's got a lot of skill all around, so he'll probably miss that bounce pass at least 5 times in the first round and just be out of it. But if he doesn't, he's got it.
All right, so I'm going to go for another skills guy then. I'm going for Porzingis. I'm going to try to take all the big men here. I'm going to try to whoop you with big men, and I'm going to take Porzingis.
All right, then I think the only guy left is Gordon Hayward. Do I have my skills competition right?
That is correct.
Then I'm going to have to go with Gordon. He's
you
having
have
a good
John
year
Wall,
too.
Gordon Hayward, and Devin Booker, and I have the rest.
That is a pretty good strategy. You got 5-3. I think you might have out-strategized me on the skills competition. So all we got is 3-point guys left. We're 2-2 there. Let's knock them out.
All right, so we got Kyle Lowry, we got Wes Matthews, we got Kemba Walker, and we got Nick Young. Am I right about this?
That is all who I have left, yes.
I am going to go with one Kemba Walker from the Hornets.
All right. I think that's a pretty good pick. I'm going to go Wes Matthews.
Ooh, interesting. I'll go Kyle Lowry then.
All right, and I get the big dump award.
You get the fat kid in dodgeball.
Swaggy P. Swaggy P himself. You know what? Swaggy P's going to win it all. That's what's going to happen.
I could see it. I honestly could see it. But I don't know. I just didn't feel good about having Swaggy P on my team just because he shouldn't be there.
Yeah, he'll probably be out in the first round, but he's the last pick. Doesn't really matter. And so let's move on to Sunday, to the real event. Well, or the secondary event. It really depends on what you how you look at it. But I secretly love the All-Star game. I like to go watch old All-Star games leading up to this All-Star game. It's just, I don't watch the whole damn game. I don't have all day. But I do like to watch some of those classic games. I'm actually thinking about buying one of those old teal Michael Jordan 1996 jerseys from San Antonio. There's a giant hot pepper on it. It's one of the most ugly jerseys I've ever seen in my entire life, and I have to get it.
You will look good rocking it. I'm not going to lie to you.
It will be a treasured jersey in my collection.
All right, you're up, man. I picked first in the last one, so you got to pick first this time.
All right, and this is a little bit harder. So for the All-Star game, it's basically turns into a straight-up points league. And the only stats that matter are points, rebounds, and assists. That's it.
And they're all equal? They're all 1 point? There's no funky scoring?
There's no funky scoring.
All right. So a point is a point, a rebound is a point, and an assist is a point.
Pretty much. Who's going to have that most all-around? It doesn't have to be all-around score, but who's going to max out their potential here? And I don't know. This is a bit of a tough question because we really don't know what's going on in the West. Kerr's coaching the team. You got the fact that there's 4 Golden State Warriors and 1 Westbrook. That should be a very interesting dynamic. The internal Western Conference is more interesting than the whole game itself.
My question is, who is the number 5 for the East? Is it Giannis or is it LeBron? Because it's got to be one of the two. Who guards Anthony Davis at the beginning of the game?
I don't know. That would be great if they were like, you know what we're gonna do is throw Giannis at the 5 and run LeBron at the point. Like this lineup, this Eastern All-Star lineup is basically what the future of the NBA is going to look like, where you have really no real positions. Where like Jimmy, is he a 3? Is he a 4? Is he a 2? Is Kyrie a 2 or a 1? Is DeRozan a 2 or a 3? Is LeBron a 5 or a 1? Is Giannis a 5 or a 1? It's going to be. It's basically what your NBA of 2035 is going to look like.
But it's amazing to watch, right? Because everyone can shoot, everyone can rebound, everyone can guard anyone, and so it just makes the game so much more dynamic, I think. Whereas, like, if you have a guy who's 7'3" and can't run, he can't really do that much other than dunk and rebound the ball.
I just want to remind everybody. So I wouldn't say I'm cheating, but I wanted to go look at what the score was of the last All-Star game, and the West won this game 196 to 173. If you had forgotten that almost 200 points were scored in that game.
It is a dunk fest. My mind might explode from trying to do the math of this points league here. Because it could be like 422 to 450.
It is. This is a hard one. This is a hard one to figure out. So, but with my first pick, I am going to go. With the guy who's leading fantasy basketball right now, Kevin Durant.
Ooh, good pick. Good pick. I thought you were going to make a rookie mistake, but that's a good pick right there.
Durant's going to play a lot of minutes, and I think he's probably going to. There might be a little bit of a FU to everybody else. It's like, I made the right decision. I'm going to show you who's boss, kind of thing. So I'm excited to see what happens.
I mean, I could really see him kind of exploding in this game and just going AWOL, dominating. So I really like that pick. Now it gets difficult for me. I think I'm going to go for James Harden. Okay, it's usually a dunk fest, right? They let everyone run in there and dunk it. All right, Harden is always good at getting to the rim. And so I think James Harden is my man.
I actually like Harden for a different reason, is because someone's got to assist these dudes. James Harden, why not him?
Why not James Harden? I'm with you. I think James Harden's going to be sneaky good here.
I'm going to go with someone who's also in FU mode, LeBron James. The East.
See, you made the rookie mistake. LeBron James
team. Someone's got to score on that team. The East team is trash, so someone's got to be doing something on that team, and LeBron's going to be doing it.
It's going to be. He's not even going to be the best Cavalier in the game.
Ooh,
that's what I'm saying.
That might have to be the no halftime bet of the night.
I'm even willing to say this. With my second pick, I'll take Kyrie Irving from the Cavs.
Wow.
Kyrie Irving always shows up in an all-star game, man.
That's very true.
So Kyrie Irving is going to have himself a night on Sunday.
I guarantee you he won't be passing the ball.
I don't think he will either, but I think he might score like 50 points.
So I'm a little worried about who to pick next. But I think I'm going to have to go back out west, and I'm going to go with Anthony Davis.
Oh, I like it.
Davis is going to get a lot of easy dunks. Him and Durant are just – there's going to be at least the first 8 minutes of the game, Durant's going to have like 8 dunks, and Davis is going to have like 10 dunks. I'm going to be like, all right, I'm sitting pretty right now. This is looking good.
I'm going to go with my next pick for a guy who's not even starting the game.
Ooh.
Is that crazy?
It's not that crazy.
It's Russell Westbrook.
Dun, dun, dun.
He is going to want to be screwing over his own teammates and not passing the ball and just going ham all by himself. And I think that's what wins an all-star game.
That is the most interesting storyline. But the second question is, does Steve Kerr has learned a little bit of that Zen master stuff from Popovich and from Phil, and does Steve Kerr allow? Well, here's a better question: does Russell Westbrook allow Steve Kerr to tell him when he is not coming out of the game? That's an even better question. But does Steve Kerr really allow Russell Westbrook to be the all-star, to be the MVP of the Western All-Star game when 4 of his players are on that team?
Of course, because he's the one laughing, man. They're the best team. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you win the MVP at the All-Star game. He's laughing when he holds up the championship at the end of the season.
That's you're pretty right about that, I think. I think that's a pretty good pick. I think Russell Westbrook has the potential to be absurdly dominant in this game. I'm going to go with someone who is his first time in the All-Star game. I'm going to go with the Greek Freak himself, trying to prove something. That guy is built for the All-Star game. All he does is dunk from the free throw line during real games.
I'm calling it All-Star game jitters, man. First time jitters for Giannis. Not the best pick you could have made.
It's a risky pick, but I'm willing to make it.
My next guy is Steph Curry. It's boring. I think he's gonna nail some 3-pointers. And he's just gonna be solid. The value is gonna be solid for Mr. Curry.
I think he's a high risk, high reward. He could have suddenly make 10 3-pointers for no reason, and half of them were at half court, and there's 30 points. Or he just kind of takes it easy, doesn't try to overshine anybody. It takes a handful of shots, and ends up with like 18 points. You never know. Believe it or not, I'm not. We're running out of guys that are sure things, but
running out of sexy names.
We're running out of the sexy names, but I'm also gonna go with another guy who's well deserved of his All-Star berth this year, Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, that was on the short list for my next pick.
I think he might be trying to go ham, and he's already averaging like 30 points this month, so I think it's over with him. I think he's gonna try to really do it pretty hard during the All-Star game.
I got a sneaky pick. I think that it's coming up that I don't think you're gonna be in on. So I'm looking forward to that. My next pick, DeMar DeRozan from the Raptors. Starting, should get some good minutes. Everyone knows he can score.
I think that's a rookie mistake. DeMar DeRozan is boring. He's an ISO player who's just shooting mid-range jump shots. You know who doesn't want to see that? Anybody watching the All-Star game. You know who's not going to pass him the ball where he's not going to pass the ball back? No one's passing to
Oh, Kyle Lowry will get in there and they'll play together and they'll be passing each other the ball like crazy. Don't kid yourself, Mike.
I like Kyle Lowry as well. If they play together, they're going to have good chemistry. But I think you've made a huge mistake picking up DeMar DeRozan when you can pick up one of the maybe one of the best players who, when he plays with other amazing players, all he does is shoot. And his name is Carmelo Anthony.
No, that was my sneaky pick. I didn't think you were going to go for him.
Smello is going to just shoot threes. And he always hits them.
And every time he gets in the Olympic team or gets in one of these games, he goes ham. He always does it because he's always wide open because no one guards him because all the other players seem like they're better players than him, and he goes off. I love that pick. That was my sneaky pick, and I thought you were looking at this roster that didn't even have him on there, so I was saving him.
No, Melo's always a sneaky pick in the. So this is where the veteran of drafting these All-Star games for the last like 4 or 5 years comes in. You know Melo's gonna get weird.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right, you didn't take my guy that I was probably going to go for next, and it's DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins, crazy skilled guy. I think he might just be able to throw some all-star magic out there.
The only thing you got to worry about with DeMarcus Cousins is nobody likes him. So hopefully he gets the ball sometime during this game. Hopefully someone passes him the ball, but they also might be so afraid of him that they definitely pass him the ball.
He's going to be giving people the middle finger and whatnot if he doesn't get the ball passed to him.
It might get out of control. I think I'm taking too many Eastern players, but I am liking the Eastern Conference a lot. This guy,
it's got to be your boy, right? It's got to be. You've passed him up too many times. He's starting the game. Like, come on, you know you want him.
As much as I'd like to take young Jimmy Butler, the problem here is Jimmy Butler, also not built for an all-star game type of. He's not going to jack threes all day. Now he was hurt last year, so he might be trying to make up for lost time since he didn't play last year. He might be trying to make up for that. I am going to go with the guy who led the Eastern Conference in scoring last year, Mr. Paul George.
Rookie mistake. Paul's been bad all year. Paul's not doing it in this game, man. He's not. It's not happening for Paul.
Who do you got?
I thought you were going to take the guy I wanted, John Wall.
John Wall, that's a good pick.
So there you go. That's my next guy. I think he's going to dish out some dimes. He's going to score a little bit. He's going to be pretty good in this All-Star game.
All right. I do not have enough Western Conference guys, so I have to go to the West Coast, and I'm going to take Klay Thompson. I just think he can get high, he can shoot a lot of threes, and it'll be over.
That was my next guy, man. I'm disappointed. I did not.
I'm one step ahead of you.
You are one step ahead of me today. All right, so my next pick, man, the names are getting unsexy in a hurry. You never picked Kyle Lowry, did you? Kyle Lowry's still on the board in this?
Kyle Lowry is still on the board.
All right, that's got to be my next pick, man. Load up on the point guards. They're going to get assists.
Not a bad idea. This is the slim pickings time. Not a whole lot dudes to pick from. 2 starters still left on the board, and I am going to take Jimmy Butler because out of shame and out of respect that I hadn't taken him yet. He deserves to be on my team. I'm taking Jimmy.
I'll take the last starter in Kawhi Leonard just because the options aren't looking great at this point.
That is true. I'm going to say Draymond. Why not? See what happens. He might have a weird triple-double.
And you gotta like Draymond just because he can do some passing, some crazy stuff. Plus, he can still get at it. Wow, the options are not looking good. We just got Paul Millsap in the East, right?
I believe is Kemba Walker still available?
Oh, I don't have Kemba Walker. I thought you picked Kemba Walker though.
I believe Kemba Walker is still available.
Okay, and then in the West we got Marc Gasol, Gordon Hayward, and DeAndre Jordan.
The poo-poo platter, the very last player to be picked, DeAndre Jordan. Maybe.
I'm gonna have to go with Kemba Walker.
I think that's a pretty good pick. I'm gonna go with Gordon Hayward. I do not have enough Western Conference guys.
All right, I got Marc Gasol then, and you got your man. You got your Huckleberry.
Oh, is it Millsap? Is Millsap still available?
Oh, Millsap is still available. My bad. I guess I got my Huckleberry and DeAndre Jordan.
I'm gonna switch it on you. I'm gonna switch it on you. DeAndre Jordan's getting like 7 dunks. I'm going DeAndre Jordan, and you could have Paul Millsap.
That's all right. Millsap's gonna be better than Jordan in this game. That's the no halftime bet.
That's the real no halftime bet. Who's gonna be worse, Paul Millsap? Can we do a reverse no halftime? Let's call it no halftime. See if we can do a reverse no halftime. Who's gonna be worse, Paul Millsap or DeAndre Jordan?
The bum fight, we'll call it.
Oh my gosh. So that's it. Those are all the guys on the All-Star game. Hopefully, everybody at home, you got some friends, you got some buddies you're going to watch the game with, or you could just do this over email and watch it online. It's 2017. You can do whatever you want. Hopefully you play. If you're playing along with us, Let us know how your draft went. Let us know who you got for the dunk contest. If you want to know the results of how we do, we are going to announce who won the Saturday night and who won the Sunday night. We'll be announcing those on Twitter first. And you can find me on Twitter at Watch the Boxes, where you can find out who won. And Tyler, where can they find you?
You can find me at Watsy4444. And I will be totaling these up myself too, and make sure Mike doesn't cheat and try to get one up on me while I'm not paying attention.
That is a good move because I was going to cheat. So good on you for knowing that I would definitely cheat to win. And if you got any other questions or if you got feedback for the show, hit us up on Twitter. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, leave us a review on whatever application you're listening on and rate us. That really helps us out, helps people find the show. And you know what helps us out more? Telling a friend. If you got buddies who play fantasy basketball and you like the show, tell them to give us a listen, tell us to give us a download, and subscribe to the podcast. And we will catch you next week where we will announce who won. But if you want to hear us first, hit us on Twitter. And we will be doing a special trade deadline show. Is that right, Tyler?
That's right. I'm excited for that.
Let's cross our fingers and hope we get some cool trades this year.
Yeah, let's not be talking about Birdman on next week.
And we'll also find out if the Bulls are going to be the worst team in the league or like the worst team in the league for a different reason.
There's the reason to tune in. Mike's Bulls rant.
Yeah, that's the number one reason. So please catch us next week. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, Tyler.
It was a pleasure to be here, Mike.
Good night, everybody.